Okay, so you need last night's homework, which should be in your language arts binder. If it isn't in your language arts binder, you need to make sure you put it back in there today. Okay, so last night's homework, and you need a checking pin. I should be able to look at this and see where you actually completed it in pencil and then checked it in pen. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Remember, we are talking about quotes and dialogue. Dialogue is when someone is speaking out loud and you can hear their actual words. So we have Seth said, I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants. So our steps, as you remember, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to put quotes around the words spoken out loud. 2 is 2 down on the ground. 3, figure out what you need to capitalize. If you follow those simple steps, you're in good shape. All right, so Seth said, I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants. What was actually said out loud? Picture Seth walking into the room. Is he going to say, hey, Seth said? No, he is Seth. He's not going to tell us Seth said. What words did he say? He said, I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants. So we put quotes around those words. Step 2, 2 down on the ground. Well, this is basically a statement telling us about a statement that was said. So instead of having 2 periods, we will have a comma to separate the dialogue tag from the dialogue, and then a period at the very end to show that the whole thing is over with. So we have, but I also want you to make sure you can tell it's punctuation, then quotes. So comma, quotes, period, quotes. You have your 2 down on the ground. What do we capitalize? Well, Seth is his name. It's also the beginning of the entire sentence. Here we have quotation marks, so we need to look carefully here. Seth said, I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants. Well, is that a sentence? Yes, it is his spoken sentence, so we need to capitalize it. Plus, you always capitalize the pronoun I anyway. Is there anything else we need to capitalize here? Yes, Cowboys as tiny as they are and how insignificant as they are, we still have to capitalize them because it's the name of a specific team. Same thing for the Giants. So capitalize them. All right, number 2, Audrey asked, who is the top-ranked team in the AFC? All right, quotes around what she said. She walked into the room and she said, who is the top-ranked team in the AFC? Then she stopped talking. So her lips started moving here. They stopped moving here. 2 down on the ground. Well, she asked, so we know a question mark is going to be involved. Which part was asked? Is it Audrey asked, who is the top-ranked team in the AFC? Or Audrey asked, who's the top-ranked team in the AFC? Which part is the question? She's asking who the top-ranked team is. That gets your question mark. You need a comma down on the ground to separate the dialogue tag from the dialogue. Again, make sure you can tell it is comma, then quotes. Question mark, then quotes. Capitalization. Audrey's a person. She's also at the beginning of the sentence. Capitalize her. All right, here are our quotes. Is that a sentence? Yes, it is the sentence that she said out loud. Who is the top-ranked team in the AFC? So we capitalize it. Also, AFC is the name of a specific part of the NFL, specific conference. So you need to capitalize AFC. All right, number 3, Mrs. Gregory exclaimed the Redskins. I know many of you are thinking that this is a fictional sentence. However, it's just basically a prophecy. This is going to be true next year. Anyway, Mrs. Gregory exclaimed the Redskins. What are the words spoken? I didn't walk in and say Mrs. Gregory exclaimed. I walked in and said, the Redskins. Of course. Put quotes around what I said out loud. 2 down on the ground. Well, I see exclaimed. That tells me an exclamation mark is involved. What did I yell? It's not, Mrs. Gregory exclaimed, the Redskins. It's Mrs. Gregory exclaimed, the Redskins. Exclamation mark goes with the part that is yelled. That's 1 down on the ground. The other one is a comma to separate the dialogue tag from the dialogue. So we should have Mrs. Gregory exclaimed, comma, quotes, the Redskins, exclamation, quotes. What do we capitalize? Well, I am very important, and I'm at the beginning of the sentence. So capitalize the M and Mrs. Capitalize the G in Gregory because it is my last name. The Redskins, even though it doesn't really seem like a sentence, and it really is kind of a sentence fragment, it is the sentence that I yelled. So we're going to capitalize the T in the and capitalize the R in Redskins because they are obviously an important team. All right. Next one's at the bottom. I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants, said Seth. Same exact words, but this time we have the dialogue tags at the ends of the sentences, so it's a little bit different. Same steps though. What was said out loud? I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants. Let's start moving here, stop moving here. 2 down on the ground. Well, it's a statement, so it's going to be a comma and a period. The period always goes at the very end in that case. Make sure you can tell the comma is before the quotes. Punctuation, then quotes. So we have quotation marks. I watched the Cowboys lose to the Giants, comma, quotes, said Seth, period. What do we capitalize? Well, I is the beginning of both sentences, the spoken sentence and the overall sentence, plus you always capitalize the pronoun I. Unfortunately, again, we have to capitalize Cowboys and Giants. They are the names of teams. And then, do we capitalize said? No, this part is not a sentence. It's just finishing the complete thought. We do capitalize Seth because that is his name. Number 2, who is the top ranked team in the AFC? Asked Audrey. Again, what was said out loud? Who is the top ranked team in the AFC? I see asked. So with our 2 down on the ground, we got to have a question mark involved. What was asked? Who is the top ranked team in the AFC? Asked Audrey. So basically we have the full thing is a statement telling us what she asked. And then capitalization. Who should be capitalized because it's the beginning of the entire sentence and the beginning of her spoken sentence. AFC should be capitalized because that's the name of the conference. Do we capitalize the A in asked Audrey? No, that is not a sentence. It's just finishing the thought. It's part of our dialogue tag. Capitalize Audrey because that is her name. Number 3, the Redskins exclaimed, Mrs. Gregory. This is where you need to get your piece of paper and add to your quote. You've already had something from another video. You need to add to that. Come from people who have the habit. Say it again. Come from people who have the habit. Write it down. Don't tell anybody. All right, number 3, the Redskins, exclaimed Mrs. Gregory. What was spoken? The Redskins. Two down on the ground. Well, we exclaimed. We know we have to have an exclamation point. Which part was exclaimed? Was it the Redskins? Exclaimed Mrs. Gregory! Or the Redskins! Exclaimed Mrs. Gregory. I yelled the Redskins. Make sure you can tell PQ. Exclamation mark, then the quotes. Exclaimed Mrs. Gregory. We need our second one down on the ground. So this is a statement telling us what I exclaimed. Capitalization. Capitalize the T because it's the beginning of both sentences. Capitalize the R in Redskins, the all-important team. Do we capitalize the E and exclaimed Mrs. Gregory? No, we do not. That is just part of our dialogue tag. It is finishing the thought. It is not a sentence. M for Mrs. G for Gregory, because that's my name, Mrs. Gregory. And that's it. You are done. So you do need to grab from the yellow folder another sheet that you are going to complete just the front and keep it in your folder. It looks like this. It's over on the side table. Go grab it. If you have time, you can start on it now. If not, you need to finish just the front. Front only. For homework tonight. All right, very good.